والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أتمان الأكملان خير خلق الله أجمعين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين ثم أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dearest brothers and sisters. This is the second session of the third QFC day, not KFC as some people have been saying, Quranic framework course. And the theme of today is to get a better insight into this phrase, al-amal as-salih, righteous deeds. We're basically going to explore how Islam teaches us that doing good deeds is not something just confined to you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's actually good deeds that Allah wants us to do exclusively for Him, and He wants us to do good deeds in other spheres of our life. So for example, in Surah Tahreem, what we learn is about the family life, the very close bonds between you, your wife, husband, and the father and the children. In that relationship, which is a very natural relationship, does Islam have something to say about how you treat them, how you're supposed to be with them, how that relationship is supposed to look like? This is what Surah Tahreem will teach us. Give us an insight into the life of the Prophet ﷺ from this angle. And the other parts of the later parts of the day, like Surah Al-Isra, which we'll cover later on, that will be about how our interaction should be on a societal level. As a community, how should we be interacting with one another? What should be our values that we promote in our community? And how our interaction should be as well. So the gist of it is basically that Islam came to give us guidance in every part of our life. As opposed to the very secular understanding, which is what? Religion is confined to? Your personal private life behind closed doors. Islam is saying no. Allah guided us in every part of our life. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. A very powerful verse which Allah told the person to say that my prayer, my salah, my nusuk, my sacrifice. See, the prayer is a very religious act, isn't it? It's something that is a personal act of worship. But the nusuk, again, sacrificing for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, very personal. But then what is next? Mahya wa mamat, my living and my dying. Meaning, from the day I'm born until the day I die, and everything in between, lillahi rabbil alameen, should be for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. As if to say, every single part of human life, Islam has something to say about it. Islam has something to say about it. So Surah Tahreem will focus on the family side of things. So get that in your heads from now. There's going to be there's a couple of questions what I want you to think about from now. And I'm going to ask you them later on. But they're quite deep, so I want you to think about them from now. And that is, in this surah, we're going to learn about the Prophet ﷺ and his wives, and some issues that arose. Now, the story which we're going to relate to seems very specific. It's to do with the Prophet ﷺ, and this happened once upon a time in his life with some of his wives. And then Allah spoke about that. But what I'm going to ask you is, how, or what rather, can we learn from that and apply to our own lives? What is it exactly that we are being taught inside this story that is going to be related to us? Because when someone reads it, it's a story. So, this happened, this was said, then that was said, and this is basically what happened. But of course, we're not being told stories for entertainment purposes, are we? We're not. We're being told stories in order to learn lessons. In fact, the purpose of the story is not the story itself. It's just the lesson that's hidden behind it. So this is one question. Tayyib, this is one question. A second question, which I need you to start thinking about from now, is that in this surah, Allah tells us as believers to save ourselves and our families from the fire. Now obviously, you cannot pull someone out of the fire, can you? Nor can you stop someone going in the fire. You can't even stop yourself going into the fire. So what that means is that there's some things you need to do as an individual and as a parent that will help stop your wife and your children going into the hellfire. Do you see? There's some things you can play a role in trying to save them, which means it's an issue to do with marital relationship, how your marriage needs to look like in order to help your spouse avoid the hellfire. And as parents, what kind of parent-child relationship you need to have in order to help save them from the hellfire. What is that exactly? Okay, so start thinking about that from now, inshallah. So let's begin by reciting the verses. We'll be covering verse 1 to 6, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها النبي لم تحرم ما أحل الله لك تبتغي مرضات أزواجك والله غفور رحيم قد فرض الله لكم تحلة أيمانكم والله مولاكم وهو العليم الحكيم وإذ أسر النبي إلى بعض أزواجه حديثا فلما نبأت به وأظهره الله عليه عرف بعضه وأعرض عن بعض فلما نبأها به قالت من أنبأك هذا قال نبأني العليم الخبير إن تتوبا إلى الله فقد صغت قلوبكما وإن تظاهرا عليه فإن الله هو مولاه وجبريل وصالح المؤمنين والملائكة بعد ذلك ظهير عسى ربه إن طلقكن أن يبدله أزواجا خيرا منكن مسلمات مؤمنات قانتات تائبات عابدات سائحات ثيبات وأبكارا يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. Okay, so somebody has a, mashallah, a very bad cough. May Allah cure that person. Maybe some water would help as well. Introductory points. When was this surah revealed? Sometimes when you ask this question, when was this surah revealed? You don't really know what's the benefit behind knowing when it was revealed, in Makkah or Medina. There's actually a tremendous amount of benefit in knowing when it was revealed because it gives you a context. So Surah Tahreem, you kind of can guess when it was revealed because it's about the Prophet ﷺ and some things that happened with his wives. So if you know a little bit about the seerah, you kind of already know when it must have been revealed. So a giveaway. Who can tell me when it was revealed? I'm just checking, I haven't put it on there already. Hands, anybody? Makkah or Medina? And you have to say why as well. Yes? Makkah. I can't even give you half of saying Makkah. Is that wrong? Sorry. Maybe next time. Yeah, Abdullah, yes. Huh? Medina, okay, why? Because it's giving some rulings. There were rulings given in Makkah as well. No, there's not really detailed rulings in this surah. It's something a lot more obvious than that. Yes. What, say that again? Very good, mashallah. I don't know if I can throw it that far though. I'll put it here to one side. So the Prophet ﷺ married in Makkah to only one wife, Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. When he came to Medina, that's when he got married to many more women. So if this surah is talking about the marriage of the Prophet ﷺ and an incident that took place with him and his wives, it must mean that this is revealed in Medina. And that kind of gives us extra pieces of information, which is, okay, now Allah wants us to think about, okay, so the Prophet ﷺ is living there, all the Muslims in Medina, and they're settled as a community now, and they're flourishing as a community. And now issues like household, related matters need to be looked at and guidance needs to be given, okay? So this is about life in Medina as a community and focusing on how the families need to flourish. What kind of advices do they need? Okay. Now the thing is, when we discuss this surah, it will be related to a incident that took place in the life of the Prophet ﷺ, which is an incident like the incident of him turning away from the blind man. You know, Abasa wa Tawalla? The Prophet ﷺ turned away from a blind man in order to continue giving da'wah to other people. That is something which Allah, took up the person on and showed his disapproval in him doing that. Now there's a technical issue that needs to be addressed, which is he's a prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best of mankind, yet he made a mistake or there was a shortcoming there. Well, there's basically two views with regards to the status of the Prophet and making mistakes. Making mistakes. All the scholars of Islam agree that the prophets of Allah can never make a mistake in conveying the message of Islam. That is impossible for that to happen. So, is Maghrib 4 rak'ah or is it 3? Or maybe there was a mistake. No, this is impossible. Impossible. Regarding the personal actions of the prophets, well, we know that they were human beings. So, matters not regarding religious instruction, it is possible for them to make a mistake. They're not infallible in that sense. However, there's two views. And that is that, is it possible for a prophet to sin? Is it possible? Is that possible? If it is, then, if it is not, then how do we explain the disapproval, right? If Allah is expressing disapproval like in Abasa wa Tawalla, and here as well, why do you make something haram which I have made halal? Then how do you explain, if you believe that the prophets cannot commit a sin, this verse or verses like this? Do you see? So the first view is that major sins like zina wal iyad billah and riba and etc., that is something that the prophets of Allah would never ever do. Impossible for them to do. Regarding the sagha'ir, the lesser sins, then there are two views. The first view is that it is possible, just like Adam alayhi salam. Allah said in Surah Taha, فَعَصَى آدَمَ رَبَّهُ فَغَوَى, that Allah said that he disobeyed. Clearly, the word is mentioned, asa. And he went astray. And we know how Adam alayhi salam repented. رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا. The second view is that no, they cannot commit minor sins even. Rather, the disapproval is regarding the following. The prophets of Allah are held to a higher degree, a higher rank. Their closeness to Allah is unlike the closeness of anybody else. Now imagine there's a line which is showing a consistent connection with Allah on a very high level. If ever there was a lapse in that connection with Allah, meaning they drop down to a lower level, though it is still so high, but in their perspective it is slightly lower than they ought to be, that is something Allah will express disapproval over. Yeah. So this is another explanation on how the prophets could have a shortcoming. Okay. This is just technical. The basic understanding is that the prophets of Allah Jalla wa Ala, best of human beings, but at the end of the day they're supposed to give us examples on how to live. Now if the prophets could never ever do anything wrong whatsoever, then it would be difficult for us to know what do we do when we do something wrong. Yeah? And likewise the wives of the Prophet, they are our mothers. Yeah? And we have a tremendous amount of love and respect for them. And they hold a rank above any other women in Islam. Yet they are still human beings. They can make mistakes. And as the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, they all could make and did make mistakes. However, their mistakes were drowned out in their good deeds. Yeah? That their good that they did far outweighed any bad they ever did. Yeah? Therefore, this is how we understand, yeah, that it is true that there are some things that were shortcomings. We understand those shortcomings in light of the technicalities which explained, but at the end of the day, they're still human beings. And if they were not like this, then we wouldn't be able to take guidance from them, because we'd be like, they're angels. They don't do anything wrong anyway. I mean, like, how can I follow the footsteps of someone who's an angel? It's impossible for me. طيب. So just those things to bear in mind. Now, the first verse. Ya ayyuhan nabi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins by addressing the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam directly. An-nabi. O you Prophet. Then a question is asked. Lima tuharrimu ma ahallallahu lak. Why do you tuharrimu from haram? Why do you make haram something which Allah has made halal laka for you? Now, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah says that Allah is not asking a question because He doesn't know why. Yeah? Allah is not asking a question because He doesn't know why. So then why is Allah saying lima, which is to ask a question to show disapproval? If it's not to ask genuinely why did you do that, because Allah already knows, then why ask the question? The question is serving another purpose. Who can tell me what purpose that question is serving? See, I feel you had an easy ride in the first session. So I'm kind of making up for that now. Abdullah, yes? Huh? Did you just ask that because I showed you this? The question, look at the verse, lima tuharrimu. Why are you making something haram which I made halal? Now Allah Jalla wa Ala already knows that why He's done this. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Therefore the question is serving another purpose other than to find out why. What is that other purpose? Okay, it's a rhetorical question, so the answer is known. This is not a rhetorical question. Why have you made something haram which I have made halal? It's not a rhetorical question.
Is there also another way of informing the Prophet and others who do read this verse about the significance of something that Allah has made halal and what you've made it haram, as though that's something we shouldn't be doing?
Ahsanti, mashallah, very good, mashallah, tabarakallah.
Can I have time, please? Sorry.
Sorry?
Can I have the time out?
Subhanallah al-Azim, Ajib. Give with the hand and then take the arm. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. No problem. It's not actually a timer, it's maybe a cheaper version, drifter. طيب. So, as Ukhti said, this is regarding the purpose it's serving is an-nahi, prohibition. That this thing you have done, it is not right. That is why Allah Jalla wa Ala is asking this question, in order to say in an indirect way that this isn't right. Now what isn't right exactly? This is the two stories now. Either it is one of two incidences that triggered this revelation, or, as the Shawkani rahimahullah said, it could be both of them. Two stories goes as follows. The first one, and this is the one the majority of scholars said was the incident that triggered this revelation, is the story of Maria al-Qibti. The Prophet ﷺ had many wives, طيب, and he also had Maria al-Qibti, who was the mother of his son Ibrahim. Ibrahim passes away at a young age. So one day he is with this lady, the mother of Ibrahim, and he is in one of the apartments. As you know, the person had many apartments, and then the wives would be in those apartments. And now he was in an apartment that usually Hafsa radiallahu ta'ala anha would reside in. She wasn't there, so he was with Maria al-Qibti there. And he was spending time with her, and they were together as husband, and they were having relations. And Hafsa radiallahu ta'ala came to know about this. And when she came to know about this, obviously she wasn't happy. So she, if you like, pressured the Prophet ﷺ that why are you doing this? And out of jealousy, she expressed her jealousy to the Prophet ﷺ at this. And the Prophet ﷺ took a yameen, which is basically to say that, okay, now in order to please you, I won't be having relations with her anymore. Okay, in order to please you, I won't be having relations with you anymore, but don't tell that to anybody else. Okay, this is the first story. If this is the case, then the verse Ya ayyuhan nabi lima tuharrimu ma ahallallahu lak means this lady Maria al-Qibti, okay, she's halal for you. I have made her halal for you. Why are you then making her haram? تَبْتَغِي مَرْضَاتَ أَزْوَاجِكَ. And I know the motivation behind you doing this too, which is to try and please your wives. Now the second incident, which is the second possibility, is a different story, which is mentioned in the hadith in Sahih Bukhari by Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, as well as Aisha radiallahu anha. She herself narrates the story, which is basically that during the time between Asr and Maghrib, the Prophet would visit all of his wives. He'd go see one, then another one, and once, what happened is, on one occasion, he visited Zainab bint Jahsh radiallahu anha, and she started making him this unique type of drink, and in that drink there was asal, honey, and the Prophet liked it a lot. It would leave like a fragrance in his mouth, and also it would sometimes keep him there for slightly longer. So what happened is that Aisha radiallahu anha and Hafsa radiallahu anha, they kind of caught on to what was going on, and they came up with a plan, which is, we don't like this, and this makes us feel very jealous. How come Zainab bint Jahsh is, able to please him in this way? So what they did, they said, okay, make a plan. What we do, when he comes to see you afterwards, say to him, we smell maghafir on your breath. Maghafir is either a sap from a tree which doesn't taste very nice, or it's a foul smelling herb. So, and then what happens is when you say it, and then he'll come to me afterwards and I'll say it as well. Okay? So this is what they did. So they came to the Prophet and they said, the person comes to Hafsa radiallahu anha and she says, what's this? I can smell this ajib thing, what is this? And the Prophet subhanAllah, always wanted to appear the best, look the best, and smell the best, and everything needed to be just right. And so he actually listened and said, what do you mean? It smells bad. Then he's thinking, maybe what is this? Maybe it's the drink. Maybe it's not. Then he goes to Aisha radiallahu anha and she says the same thing. What's this ajib smell coming from you? So the Prophet says, you know what? I'll never have that drink ever again. تَبْتَغِي مَرْضَاتَ أَزْوَاجِكَ, in order just to please the wives. Now from another perspective. Or it's both these incidences. And if both these things happened, then this verse was revealed. Meaning in either case you shouldn't have done that. In either case you shouldn't have done that. And then Allah says, Wallahu Ghafurur Rahim. And Allah is Ghafoor in this context, meaning you've been forgiven. You've been forgiven for doing that. And Rahim means that there will be no punishment whatsoever for you for doing such a thing. طيب. Now the question is, why is it bad to do that? Why is it bad to do that? Why is it bad to, something that is halal for you, okay, to do, Allah has clearly shown that it's halal for you to do this thing, and then you say, I'm never going to do that thing ever again, or I'm never going to eat this thing ever again, never going to drink this thing ever again, ever. Why is that a bad thing to do? Or is it, actually, look at the second part of the verse, تَبْتَغِي مَرْضَاتَ أَزْوَاجِكَ. Is that the thing which is kind of not really right? That it's okay to say, I'm not ever going to do this ever again, even though it's halal for me to do, but to be motivated to say that other than for Allah. Ooh, that's another take on the verse, isn't it? That, it was just because the wives wanted you to do this or abstain from this, and you said, for your sake, I'll do that. I can't confuse you now, maybe you thought it was the other way. Yeah. What do you think, Yani? Let's say, forget about the wives for a second, and the motivation force from them. Just the fact of saying, this thing is halal, and you know what, for me, personally, I'll never do it again. Or I'll never do it again, never eat again, never drink again, never wear it again, whatever. What's wrong in that? Yep.
Is it because Allah out of His wisdom has allowed certain things, knowing that if these things were taken away from you, then you would find it very difficult. So when you start making these choices for yourself, and making things basically essentially prohibited for yourself,
Yep.
Allah knows that it's further down, it would cause a lot of harm to you in like the long term.
Okay, mashallah, very good. Okay, you don't mind if, by the way, no one has a choice anymore, so. Faddal, mashallah. Yes, as the brother said, that, think about it. It's not just the case that Allah made things haram and made things haram and wajib, yeah, on the two opposite ends of the spectrum, but Allah actually intentionally left certain things to be permissible. Do you see? So if Allah intentionally said all of these things are permissible for you to do, did Allah say that without a wisdom behind it? Of course, there's wisdom behind everything Allah does. So now obviously you may not perceive that wisdom. And if you say, I'm never going to do that thing which is halal, it means that you actually kind of cut yourself off from doing something which may serve a wise purpose in your life. And as the second thing you said, which is you made your life more difficult than what Allah wanted it to be. Do you get this, brothers? Yeah? Very good points. Anything else? What is the wrong in doing this? At the back, they said, Ukhti, yes. Yep, yourself with the... Oh, ahsanti, mashallah. Another for yourself, inshallah. A sister said, because the Prophet ﷺ is not like any other individual. He is the uswa. He is the example for mankind. So if he does say this, I'm not going to do for myself, I'm not going to have honey anymore, just imagine. Yeah, last time's prizes, we haram. Can you have them back now? Yeah, so the Prophet is an example to the whole of mankind. Now, if he made something haram on himself, obviously people will come after and say, well, if the Prophet didn't have honey, then I'm not going to have honey. Isn't it? So he's an example to everyone. So in that capacity as a leader and example to everybody else, you shouldn't be making things haram on yourself, which are, if you look at it from another perspective, made halal by Allah, as opposed to just being halal. Yeah. Ibn Ashur rahimahullah mentioned another point, amazing point. He said that in every halal thing, there is an opportunity to make shukr to Allah. And if you close the door to one halal, you close the door to making shukr to Allah. Subhanallah, ajib, what he said. And that is so true. You know, you enjoy different things in your life. Different things inspire you to make shukr in different ways, you know. You might go skydiving, for example. And you make shukr that Allah allowed you to stay on the ground and not in the air. But that unique shukr, you never be able to make it if you said, haram for me to skydive. Sah wallah. Yeah? Okay, let's move on, inshallah. Now, there's some lessons here. Ya ayyuhan nabi lima tuharrimu ma ahallallah. Now I'm going to ask you, these lessons, where in the verse are we being taught them? Number one, the veracity of the Quran. Veracity means the authenticity of the Quran. That this for sure could only be the word of Allah and no one except Allah. How does this one verse show that the Quran is authentic? How? At the back, yep. Nobody else could have known what was happening. Not true. The wives knew. Some of the wives knew. Other people could have known. Yes, Dad. Okay, so nobody else would question the Prophet ﷺ. What's kind of the alternative that Orientalists say, that the Quran is not the word of God, it's the authorship of the Prophet ﷺ. So would a person write a book, yani, and then in the book is exposing himself, questioning himself? Abasa wa tawalla. Why? It wouldn't. So the mere fact that there are criticisms of the Prophet in the Quran points towards the veracity of the Quran as being the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Halal has goodness, we kind of mentioned that already. Another thing that my Shaykh Hafizullah mentioned is, look at this, the influence of the wives over the husband. This is the strongest man, the bravest, courageous, most intelligent, most guided, and yet his wives are able to influence him in such a big way. Sah wallah. Yeah, it's a good point that the Shaykh made, and we have to obviously look at that in the context of the fact that the Prophet ﷺ, on this occasion, he listened to his wives and it was against him. Yeah. On another occasion, like Salama and Hudaybiyah, he listened to Salama's advice on what to do when the companions were distraught when they were told, we need to go back, we can't make Umrah. He listened to her advice, and the advice proved to be very fruitful. So it means that the husband needs to be aware how much of an influence his family can have on him in a negative way. Isn't it? And that's kind of what we learned in Surah Taghabun, isn't it? When we said, Allah Jalla wa'ala says to the believers that, إِنَّ مِنْ أَزْوَاجِكُمْ وَأَوْلَادِكُمْ عَدُوًّا لَكُمْ. Indeed, from some of your wives and some of your children, they are enemies. How exactly enemies? Well, they can influence you through their closeness and the love that they have with you to lead you to do some things which are not really right. Isn't it? How many times do we see that? Somebody, a brother, he's doing a job, the job is questionable. Why are you doing this? I got to put food on the table, man. Yeah? So here it's clear that the family are not influencing him in a positive way. Okay, next verse. قَدْ فَرْضَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ تَحِلَّةَ أَيْمَانِكُمْ وَاللَّهُ مَوْلَاكُمْ وَهُوَ الْعَلِيمُ الْحَكِيمُ. Allah has made the expiation of your oaths obligatory for you. Allah is your master. He is the all-knowing, the all-wise. Very interesting how there is what is known as iltifat taking place in this verse. First verse was addressing who? Who was the first verse addressing? Prophet ﷺ, directly. تَبَتَغِي مَرْضَاكَ أَزْوَاجِكَ. Your wives. Why are you doing this? Second verse is addressing who? قَدْ فَرَضَ اللَّهُ لَكَ لَكُمْ. See how Allah took the very, if you like, specific address and then broadened it out to include all of us, as if Allah is talking to us all now. And what is that address to us all? That Allah has made fard. Okay, and I'll explain what fard means here. What has He made fard? Tahillata aymanikum. Ayman is the plural of yameen. Yameen is translated as oath. Somebody takes an oath, yameen, to not do this or to do this. Whether it's regarding eating, drinking, sleeping, interaction, whatever. Non-religious acts. Yeah, I'm never going to drink Diet Coke again. Tastes rubbish. Never, ever, ever. He took an oath. Okay. طيب. Now Allah said farada. That is fard for you to break that oath. Is that what it means? Actually, there's two meanings here. There's two meanings. The first meaning is that this when read with the Prophet ﷺ's incident in mind, then to the Prophet it is binding on him to break that oath that he made. I'm never going to drink honey again. I'm never going to have relations with Maria al-Qibti again. It is not right for him, especially in his position. Therefore, it is obligatory, fard. The second meaning is that when regards to all of us, the Muslims, if you did make an oath not to do something ever again from the halal things, then fard means it is mashru'. Mashru' means it has become mandated. Not mandated, sorry. It has become permissible. Ibaha, yes. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said, fard means ibaha here, means you can get out of that difficult situation by breaking it. This is what it means. So how do you break an oath? Person says, I'll never drink Diet Coke again. Yeah? And then he goes to maybe in-laws invited him over. You have to go to their house. So now the food comes and you're thirsty. They bring drink, only Diet Coke there. Only Diet Coke. So now, your father-in-law is saying, better have some. If you say, no, I'm not going to drink Diet Coke, you might get offended. Yeah, you might get offended. So, is that the end of the road now? You can't do it anymore. Whatever happens, there's no way you can drink that Diet Coke. Yeah? No, Allah Jalla wa is saying, there is a way now. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah says, you need to look at this in context of history, that all previous and the Muslims up until Surah Al-Ma'idah is revealed, if they took an oath, there's no way out. No way out. You said you can't, that's it. Until you die, you can't. Now Allah showed mercy to the ummah. And He said that now there is a way for you to come out of that oath. And that was explained in Surah Al-Ma'idah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ذَلِكَ كَفَّارَةُ أَيْمَانِكُمْ. And that there is the way that you expiate the oath. So what it means is that you have the oath, then you have the kaffara, and then you have what is called the hinth. The hinth is actually doing that thing which you said you're never going to do. So before you actually do that thing you said you're never going to do, you have to expiate the oath. How do you expiate the oath? Well, there's two options. First option is that either you free a slave, which we can't. Second option is that you feed 10 poor people with the same kind of food that you and your family eat. Third option is that you clothe 10 poor people with the kind of clothes you and your family wear. Now, if you can't do any of those three, and you have the option to choose whichever you want, then you have the second option, which is to fast 3 days. Okay? So going back to that scenario, you might have to say to your father-in-law, just give me 3 days. I'll get back to you on that one in 3 days. Or you could go on your phone and send the money over to poor people, to feed 20 poor people. And then khalas, then you can drink. Yeah, you can drink. So the main message is that Allah made things easy for you. And that is why Allah then says, Wallahu Mawlakum. And Allah is your Mawla. Mawla means two things, friend and protector. Protective friend. Allah is saying, I'm looking after you. Want to make things easy for you. Yeah? Including the Prophet ﷺ in this case, as well as all the Muslims. And then he ends by saying, وَهُوَ الْعَلِيمُ الْحَكِيمُ, that he is all-knowing and all-wise. And what that means is that he's all-knowing, he knows what you're thinking, what you may have made obligatory upon yourself, all the incidents related to this story, he knows it all. And with that knowledge, did he legislate this concession? And that was out of wisdom, hikmah. And everything Allah legislates for us is out of wisdom. Yeah, it's not just arbitrary. The Sharia said so, so it is. Now the thing is, sometimes you know the wisdom, sometimes you don't know the wisdom. True or not? Mathalan, why don't we eat pig? I mean, I don't actually know the wisdom behind that. Also, you don't know the wisdom, so why do we do it? We don't eat it because Sharia said. I know for sure that there is a wisdom behind that. I don't know what it is. Yeah. How do you know? We know from the Quran, Allah linked between His legislation and His hikmah. Yeah, as if to say there's hikmah behind everything I do. Okay. Any questions on that verse? Because I know that some people may find it a bit difficult to understand the technicalities of that verse. Yes, Nahid bhai. Barakallahu feekum.
You mentioned the expiation.
Yep.
So does that mean after that point you've now cut that oath off, or do you carry on with your oath as its original form, but for that period you managed to get around it? Because Allah gave you the
Sorry, I was trying to get around some Siri over here. Siri's gone crazy over here. Siri said I didn't get that, so I didn't get that.
Yeah, so you mentioned that during the period of an oath you can come upon a situation where
You may have to break it.
you may have to break it.
Yep.
There's a way out of that
Yep.
by giving you expiation.
Yep.
And does that oath still stand as a cover for that period? Or for that
Yes, so
period?
basically,
Or does it break the oath?
no, good question. So what impact does the kafara have on the oath exactly?
Itself.
Yeah. So take the kafara out of the picture. If you did that thing which you said you're never going to do, then you'd be sinful. So the ithm is the thing which Allah is helping you avoid. Which means that you can't do that thing unless you do a kafara before that. Once you've done the kafara, now if you did it, there will be no ithm. There will be no sin attached to it. Make sense?
Can you still make up the kafara even after breaking it?
That's what I'm saying, actually. If you break an oath, it's sinful.
Then can you?
So how do you break an oath without being sinful? You do the kafara before. Do you understand?
But before this revelation was.
There's no way you're breaking it. There's no way of breaking it before this revelation. Or the revelation of Surah Al-Ma'idah.
Someone who is learning and
Yeah.
didn't do the kafara because they didn't know that they had to do that.
Okay. So you didn't know that you're supposed to make a kafara before you break the oath. Then you have to make it now, isn't it? You have to do the kafara now. If you didn't know, you have to make it now. Okay. Should we continue? As long as you understand the main thing, I don't want to go into someone's history here.
So
But
what actually constitutes as an oath? Like,
okay, what constitutes as an oath? If you look at the story, the Prophet ﷺ either would have said, "By Allah, I'm never going to drink honey again," or he would have said, "I'm never going to drink honey again," or "It's haram for me to drink honey again." Words to that effect are all considered to be yameen. So maybe a person didn't say, "By Allah," but you meant that you're never going to do this thing again, as if you're making it haram on yourself. So the real focus point is the intention behind the words, not the words themselves. Okay? Right, let's continue. Now the story gets a bit more in detail. And it gets a little bit funny as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in verse number 3, وَإِذْ أَسَرَّ النَّبِيُّ إِلَى بَعْضِ أَزْوَاجِ حَدِيثًا. The Prophet ﷺ confided a certain matter to one of his wives. Here Shawkani rahimahullah said that there's total agreement in the scholars regarding who this wife was. This was Hafsa radiallahu ta'ala anha. So what happens? One of those two things happens, and the Prophet makes a yameen, I'm never going to do this again. Don't tell anybody else. Okay? That's the main thing. So, وَإِذْ أَسَرَّ is when the Prophet confided that secret with his wife and told her, don't tell anybody else. بَعْضِ أَزْوَاجِ حَدِيثًا, which is the hadith, the speech that he used to tell her that, don't tell anybody else. فَلَمَّا, but after he did that, نَبَّأَتْ بِهِ, she actually went ahead and told somebody else. Who was this somebody else? It was Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. So Hafsa radiallahu ta'ala anha comes to Aisha and says, do you know what happened yesterday? Yeah, can you believe it? I can't believe it either. Yeah, something like this. But she tells him. Now, after that happened, وَأَظْهَرَهُ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ, then Allah adhara, which means to expose. Allah exposed to the Prophet ﷺ what had just happened, meaning that she divulged his secret. Now the Prophet ﷺ is going to confront Hafsa about what she did. And Allah describes how he confronted her. عَرَّفَ بَعْضَهُ وَأَعْرَضَ عَنْ بَعْضٍ. That he told her part of what he knew and he covered up part of what he knew. So Allah wants us to know the technique the Prophet used in correcting the mistake of his wife. And it composes of two elements, ta'rif and i'rad. Ta'rif means to tell someone, I kind of know this. And then i'rad means to cover up something that you know as well. So it's like kind of giving an ishara, giving a hint, dropping a hint. So as if, okay, we can actually look at it like a conversation actually. So the conversation. Prophet ﷺ, فَلَمَّا نَبَّأَهَا. So the Prophet ﷺ comes to Hafsa and he gives a hint. He says, so what happened yesterday? You went to see Aisha radiallahu anha, yeah? Okay, I see. So what? فَلَمَّا نَبَّأَهَا بِهِ. Yeah, فَلَمَّا. So when he did eventually tell her in this way, what you did, then what was her reaction? قالت, she said, مَنْ أَنْبَأَكَ هَذَا? She said, who told you that? Is this, if someone confronts you in a very nice, noble way and says, what happened then, yesterday? The person shouldn't say, who told you? The person should just say, yeah, it's true, this wasn't really the best thing for me to do. But this is the way she reacted. قالت, مَنْ أَنْبَأَكَ هَذَا? One of the scholars said, because she never doubted Aisha would grass on her. She never thought it wouldn't be Aisha, and we're best buddies, and they were really close, subhanAllah. They were like the leaders of the wives of Hafsa and Aisha radiallahu anha. So she says, who told you? Prophet says, قال, he says, نبأني العليم الخبير. The one who informed me is Alim and Khabir. All-knowing. Khabir in this context means from who nothing is hidden. Now look at the words that were used. Nabba'a and anba'a. Sound the same or look different? Nabba'a, anba'a. You see a difference there, right? They're on two different patterns. Okay. One is on the fa'ala family, the other one is on the af'ala family. There's a difference in meaning as well. So you got nabba'a, which is tanbi'un, and you got anba'a, which is inba'. What's the difference between inba' and tanbi'? The difference is that anba'a is actually more specific than tanbi'. So both mean inform, but one is actually like less of a level than the other. So tanbi' is to inform fully, in detail. Anba'a is just to give a part of the overall story or the detail. Who says what? Well, the Prophet ﷺ, فَلَمَّا نَبَّأَهَا بِهِ. When he informed her, of what is happening, or when he gave that hint, he only gave her part of the story, right? Because he covered up most of what he knew. So what was her response? It wasn't who man nabba'aka, it was man anba'aka. Who told you that part? You see, because he hasn't told everything. So he just told a little part. So she goes, who told you I went to Aisha's house? Just that part. Who told you that part? Then now it gets even more amazing is what the Prophet says in response. He doesn't say that amba'ani, Allah informed me that part. He says nabba'ani, Allah informed me the whole thing. The whole thing Allah told me. And he alim, he knows everything anyway. Yeah, so he's the one who told me. So very, very interesting conversation that takes place there. What kind of lessons do we learn from that? You see, person makes a mistake. They become vulnerable to the one who knows of their mistake, true or not? Yeah? Somebody makes a mistake, no one knows about it. Okay, then you find out someone in the community knows what you've done. Now that person's going to come and confront you. There's a number of ways they can deal with you. They know you're vulnerable. They can either embarrass the hell out of you, yeah, or they can kind of do it in an honorable way, don't make you feel that bad about what you did. Which one is going to have a more positive impact? If you take an approach where you're kind of being honorable, not exposing person in detail, or the kind of more rough and ready approach, like, hang on a minute. I know exactly what happened. Yesterday at 12 o'clock, you started to think. He said, Prophet told me don't tell anyone, but you know what I'm thinking, I am going to tell someone. 4 o'clock, Asr time. Yes. You wore that hijab? Yeah, that one. And then you went to her house and you opened the door and you said, do you know what happened? And then you didn't stop there. No. She said, what happened? He said, oh, sit down. Let's talk about this. Yeah? This is going into details. And how is that person going to feel? Embarrassed, exposed, even humiliated. Yeah? Now you need to appreciate the consequence of correcting someone in a bad way. Imagine another scenario. On Facebook, someone writes a status. What they say, mathalan, they celebrated Valentine's Day. Yeah? They went out with their girlfriend. Let's say, a brother. Public knowledge now. So another brother, family member, or someone, he reads the status, is what's going on? Come on, akhi, you know this is wrong. And then to say it in public, that's double wrong, right? So now I've got a number of options. I could write my own Facebook status. Do you know what this brother's doing? Tag him in. Look at his status, exposing his own self in front of people. Wal-'iyadhu billah. Make tawbah. Hashtag make tawbah. So? Now, the brother, he reads what's going on. People come, bro, do you know what that brother said about you? And he, did you really do that? Like, that's bad, man. Like, so now, imagine the mentality of that brother. He's been exposed, humiliated, embarrassed publicly. Most likely, you know what he'll do? He'll try and justify what he did. Where in the Quran does it say we can't celebrate Valentine's Day, bro? Bring me the verse. So you pushed him to actually become worse than he was. Before he was in the middle. Oh, it's not really right, bro. Yeah, it's true. I shouldn't have done that. Next year I won't be doing that anymore. I know, but you humiliated me now. Now my human reaction is to be defensive. When humans become defensive, they justify. If they justify, they're actually making something haram halal. And that is even worse. Why? Because you and your approach. Subhanallah. How Allah wanted us to learn from the approach of the Prophet ﷺ. Someone makes a mistake, you think about how you're going to correct them. Correct them in the most honorable way. And there's one characteristic that he used here, which is called taghaful. Taghaful. Taghaful, Imam Ahmad rahimahullah said, it is 9/10 of attaining perfect character. 9/10 of attaining perfect character. Imam Ja'far said, عَظِّمُوا أَقْدَارَكُمْ بِالتَّغَافُلِ. Magnify your status before people by exercising taghaful. What is taghaful? Taghaful is to pretend as if you didn't notice the mistake of another person. Pretend. If somebody does something, it's not really right. Mathalan, brother over here is watching cricket on his phone. Mathalan, I'm not saying anybody is. Mathalan. Somebody's watching cricket on their phone. And now the brother looks up, he sees me looking at him. He knows that I clocked him. He knows. Now, I pretend I don't know what's going on. Okay. He knows, actually, he might know that I'm on my phone watching cricket right now. I think I should put it away. I haven't said anything. I haven't done anything. But you know what? He feels he's being honorable to me when he could humiliate me. Even that is enough for me to think, I need to change myself, I shouldn't be doing this right now. Taghaful, to pretend as if somebody isn't actually doing a mistake in front of you. Yeah? Pretend. So it's kind of like you show that you know it, but I'm actually intentionally overlooking it right now. I'm kind of looking the other way. That gives you the space in which you correct your own self without feeling embarrassed and exposed. Very powerful. They're very powerful. Now imagine that's done on a societal level. Yeah, on a societal level. So at the moment what happens is, you've got the viral videos going around, and many viral videos are basically people exposing somebody else making a mistake or making fun of themselves or making a fool of themselves, right? Like there's one going around at the moment, you might have seen, this is a white lady. She's being very racist on the train. Have you seen this one? She is going for it, man. She won't even shut up. And she says things like, oh, you guys, you know, you were slaves once upon a time. No, she didn't just say that. Yes, she did. This guy is just filming the whole thing. He's thinking, you know what, this is gold. This is gold. This is going to go to 1 million hits. I can already see it in my head. Yeah. But this is the opposite of taghaful. Yeah. Which is the trend at the moment, which is to expose people as much as possible. The whole, you know, reality TV trend, Big Brother. Why do people love Big Brother so much? Many a time it's just, you can see people acting like idiots and laugh at them. Isn't it true? You agree or not? Just want to see someone making a fool of themselves. Yes. They love it. SubhanAllah, this is creating evil in the society. Reverse it around and implement what Allah taught us, which is people make mistakes, correct them in an honorable way, privately, trying to expose them as less as possible. Aha. Now what you've done is you created a community where people know that there are things that aren't right, but we deal with them in private. Which actually means that what we know what is happening in the community publicly and being aired are only good things. So our image of our community is a good one, a positive one. Do you see? So praise is given to good works, and public exposing is not usually done to bad works. So we deal with the mistakes, but create an environment of virtue. This is going to the level of social engineering now. But this essentially comes down to having a character where you have taghaful in you. Yeah, you have the ability to overlook someone's mistakes. Ability to pretend to not notice someone's mistakes. In particular, mistakes that are done to you. Yeah? Someone makes a mistake to somebody else, we're not saying you pretend like you didn't know what's going on. This is about you and that person. They make a mistake which is directly impacting on you. Yeah? You have the option how to deal with it. The best way, pretend that you didn't actually notice it, but just send a little hint that, you know what, I didn't notice that. I'm not actually going to go for you. Yeah. So Nahid Bhai, you put your phone away now. No. I'm just kidding. It wasn't me. Tayyib, second point, I think we're going to take a break now. It's time for break, isn't it? 12:15. Yeah. Secrets are a trust. Marital relationship, wife knows things about the husband no one else knows. True or not? Husband knows things about the wife no one else knows. They are secrets. Now, the Prophet taught us like what constitutes a secret in Sharia. In the hadith in Sunnah Tirmidhi, class as Hasan, he said, it is enough for a man to say something to another, ثُمَّ الْتَفَتَ, then just to turn around like this. فَهِيَ أَمَانَةٌ, that then becomes a trust. You know, and you say something to someone like, bro, you know, that's it. He didn't say, bro, you know, and don't tell anyone what I said, all right? You promise. Swear. Say qasam, wallahi. Yeah? Quran Pak the qasam, as you say, back in the day. No, none of that. He just, ثُمَّ الْتَفَتَ, just turned his face. As if he doesn't want anyone to hear what he just said. That constitutes a secret that you're supposed to keep. Yeah? That is supposed to. So, secrets of people, in particular of your spouse, they are of a higher grade that need to be really kept secret and not exposed. Yeah? And it makes sense because the wife, you know, she knows things about the husband that no one else does, vice versa. So you are in a prime position to say things which will embarrass and expose your wife. Yeah. Even now, subhanAllah, just one last point, there's a new evil trend going around, and there's a couple of articles that have come out about it, where boyfriends have been prosecuted for exposing their girlfriends. They have a particular term for it. I'm not going to say the term. You might have read it, whereby because people are so promiscuous and, you know, with the information age, people take indecent pictures of themselves and send it to their boyfriend. Yeah. And what happens is after they break up, the boyfriend uploads it onto social media. That now is becoming a big problem because it ruins the life of this woman. Yeah. Wherever she goes, everyone knows that she's exposed and everything else, so it ruins her life. So now this has become a crime. Yeah, this has become a crime and people have been prosecuted. So all of this goes back to viewing how should I look at this person who I have an intimate relationship with. They think their behavior with me is supposed to stay between the four walls. Yeah? Even subhanAllah, in this situation, they are co-wives. They're not actually people from outside the home, technically. Yeah? But no, you and your husband and vice versa, you keep your secrets to yourself. Yeah? Don't tell anybody else.